Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the Kerry Garden Show. Alan Finn here with you again in Boyles of Killorglin, joined by our gardening expert Miguel, the manager here at Boyles of Killorglin. Miguel, how are we?
We are all right.
Are we all right? We
I'm
good?
not all right, but we are fine.
No, I'm talking about you, yourself and I,
All right.
talk about in the third person.
I'm
The sun
I'm
is
okay.
shining. It's a nice day down here in Boyles, and we have got a lot of stuff for our viewers and listeners today. Tell us what we're going to be talking about.
So now we are in March, mid-March.
Yeah, Paddy's Day tomorrow.
And we need to start sowing certain things. If we want to have a vegetable crop or onion crops,
Yeah.
we need to start now. So we're going to talk about what to do, how to do it, what to expect, when to crop, a little bit of general information, not very deep, but a little bit of general information for beginners on how to grow their own potatoes, tomatoes.
One thing you said there which actually struck me, and you mentioned it beforehand as well too, is expectations.
Yes.
Because I guess that can probably be one of the things that people come in and they expect the massive production to come, and with some, and we've had it over the years, sometimes it doesn't happen first time. There's a lot of learning in this. So you talk about for beginners like myself. I am always a beginner here, but we've got some onions, we've got some garlic, and we've got some potatoes. So where do you want to start?
So not only that you were mentioning that you could be disappointed,
Yeah.
but it can cost you, will be costing you probably more than if you buy them in the supermarket.
Okay.
But the pleasure and the reward,
Yeah.
the feeling of growing your own is something unique.
Yeah, I have
And
to say
it's
when I did
very rewarding,
when I did strawberries last year, I gave them to my boys and they loved the strawberries. And when I was growing a few of the strawberries, like they really did, they were like going, "Oh my God, Dad, these are amazing."
They're
But there was
different.
only just one or two at a time.
You'll
So
have
it's good.
this year strawberries. You'll see they spread, and you'll have more and more every year. And the taste is completely different than the ones that you bring in
you
the
brought in,
trays that
yeah.
they're coming from Spain or from wherever you're coming. They are industrial.
Yeah.
At the end, they are industrial varieties that they are selected by the size, by the uniformity, by the crop, the final crop,
Okay,
the
yeah.
final weight.
Yeah.
So for an agriculture, for a farmer, what he wants is maximizing his crop. So we'll pick varieties that are more productive,
Yeah.
bigger, resistant, tolerant to this, or whatever.
And can be grown on a big
Well,
scale. But here we're talking about our own
small
gardens.
scale, and
We're
it
talking
always
about
tastes better.
and it always tastes better. Exactly. Good. Okay.
So, we can start with the potatoes.
The spuds.
As we all know, spuds, we have three types.
They're the national emblem of Ireland. You know that, don't you?
Yes, I know. And it causing problems always. With the blight and with
Yes,
this
I
and with
know.
that.
And
So
the
be
famine.
be careful with.
Yeah.
So we have essentially three types of potatoes, spuds. First earlies, second earlies, and main crop. They all have his pros and his cons. Basically, first earlies and second earlies, you will get rid of the blight. You will be cropping, harvesting before the blight comes. Okay? That's
That's one of the
interesting.
benefits. Okay. Yeah.
While on the other hand, main crops can be stored over the winter. While first and second earlies, they don't store as good as the other ones. So you should be eaten, not immediately, but in a not very long period of time. First earlies, you should expect between 60, these are Sharpest Express.
No, I haven't
All
heard.
right.
I haven't actually heard of these before.
Sharpest Express are
Sharpest-
one of the
Sharpest
quickest
Express.
varieties.
Okay.
And it should be ready in about 60, 75 days.
Okay. Right. Wow. That
Just
is.
eight to 9 weeks. Then normally you'll find a range between 100 and 120 days for cropping the first earlies.
Okay.
While the second earlies, they are the same, thin skin,
Yeah. So this is the Maris Piper.
slightly
a lot of
later.
people. Okay.
So you're talking about 2-3 weeks later. You're talking about 120 days, 4 months,
Yeah.
3.5, 4 months.
Okay. And what other? There's the Maris Pipers. There's another second.
have
Oh, the British
plenty of
Queens.
them,
The British
yes.
Queens and
British
everything are another
Queens.
ones. Yeah. because Irish people are so particular about the types of
About the
potatoes, you
types.
know.
So
that's
it's
why.
actually a
Yeah.
big world that you
Yeah.
will never imagine the amount.
Well, that's
of
what I mean. I
different
never heard of that.
potatoes.
I never heard of that Sharpies Express before.
It's a
so there
very
you
quick
go.
variety.
Yeah.
So you'll have it in the middle of June. While these fellas are slightly later, same process. How would you recognize in the first and second earlies that the plants or the potatoes, the tubers are ready?
Yeah.
You can, some people say dig, which is a good option. Dig and see what is under.
Okay.
But normally when the flowers are dropping, when the first earlies, the flowers will drop and the plant, the potatoes will be ready to crop.
That's the way of telling you that it's ready.
Second earlies,
Yeah.
they can develop flowers, they could be not opening. When they stop developing flowers is the right time. While if you go to main crop is 120 to 150 days. These first and second earlies are sowed in March. Paddy's Day is the starting day.
Yeah. Perfect timing. So.
And then main crop, you go to mid-April. They don't like the soil.
Being
they
too
prefer
soggy?
too cold.
Too cold.
So you have to go to mid-April. The third week of April will be ideal.
Yeah.
Then you're facing 20, 22, 23 weeks, depending on the variety. Golden Wonder we have here
Yeah.
is the latest variety. Will be 5 months
Okay.
till you harvest. 5 months.
Yeah.
So you're going into mid-October. You cannot leave them on the ground. First and second, you can leave them on the ground and crop them as you need. While these fellas need to be cropped for one single reason, for many reasons, but
The main one.
main reason is the weather.
Yes.
Mid-October,
Especially October.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're taking a gamble.
Big time.
Okay, what depth? You have to plant them 25 centimeters deep.
So let's talk about along those lines. Let's talk about preparing the area. What type of things do we need to do for, let's just say, if the vegetable patch where you want to plant these potatoes?
So what you need is a rich soil.
Yeah.
They're going to need loads of nutrients. They're going to need, eventually you'll have to feed them, but it's essential that it's a loose, not loose, it's free of rocks soil.
Okay.
Like for carrot, they are not as special as carrots.
Okay.
But they need a decent soil, a fluffy
Yeah.
soil where they can
spread out
can
their roots.
spread
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So you need to work that soil, enrich it. If you're planting in the same spot as last year in your garden, you need to enrich the soil.
Yeah.
I would recommend you to find a different spot for next year.
Yeah, they
And
do have that.
rotate.
That's most gardeners and most vegetable growers would know that you'd rotate the crop in different areas.
If you're not going to rotate, enrich.
Okay.
The problem with not rotation in industrially is some insects, some pests that can
They can
ruin
be in
the
the
crop.
soil. Okay, right. So that's one of the biggest reasons that you kind of move it to a different area.
Exactly.
Okay.
As well, the rotation is always, what you look in rotation is enriching the soil with some plants, and so some plants take some nutrients, some plants add nutrients. So you want to combine these plants to keep the soil in a good level of nutrients always. So you sow them, you dig trenches, sow them, cover them. When they are growing, you know it. You have
Cover
to
them
hill
again.
You have
Hill
to cover
them,
them
yeah.
again. Very easy. And then when they're ready, just crop them. That's it. In the middle, nutrients. 10, 10, 20, or a well-balanced nutrient. Any nutrient that is not. Be careful, we mentioned that in the last week. An excess of nitrogen can be counterproductive in some plants, specifically in potatoes.
Yeah. So what your chicken pellets? No.
Chicken pellet for enriching. Now, when the plants are growing, you shouldn't add manure or you shouldn't add strong products.
Okay.
Just go for a specific vegetable fertilizer, even if it's not specifically designed for potatoes, will be good enough.
It's all, again, as you always say, it's about the balance that you need to kind of...
Exactly. We are not industrial growers.
Yes.
We probably don't have access, or not. It's not even that we don't have access. It's pricey. It's difficult to find a specific in a garden center or in small places or co-ops, finding specific for potatoes in small
small portions.
small.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's always good, even tomato food or whatever you have at home, but feed them, feed the plants. Then you recognize when they are going
To
this
flower.
to the flower.
Yeah.
While main crop is when they wilt. The foliage goes yellow and wilt.
So
is
that's
when
that
they
extra
are
little longer.
ready.
So the flowers will die, first and second earlies. That's the sign to harvest them. But with the main crop, you literally wait until all the leaves are starting. 'Cause
Exactly.
That's them
sign.
draining.
Exactly.
They've drained all they can out of the leaves.
When the leaves are gone, wait for a few days,
Yeah.
and they are ready.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay. Onions as well. We have onions. Well, what can we expect in terms of
Sorry,
crop?
yeah, that was it. Because again, we were talking about expectations. So, right, we have whatever. There might be a bag of
So 2
25.
kilos, you should have around 20 to 30
20 to 30, 25,
spots,
yeah.
Depending on the size of the spots, but you should have at least 20.
And does the size of the spud dictate how much you're going to have? Or?
So, good question. And with the large spots, what you can do is divide them and get 2 of one or 3 of one.
Okay, so you would
depending
actually
on the size.
cut it in half.
You look for an eye, what
The
they say in
buds.
Spain, the buds,
Yeah, I see them there. Yeah.
and you find. Let's see if we can find. Well, if you see 2 here with 2 different buds,
Two
you can
different buds,
cut it.
yeah.
That will be this potato that could be. We're talking about larger potatoes. This could be
Yeah.
divided in 2.
Yeah.
Some of them here, they are like big.
Very
nuts,
small,
like
yeah.
a small. So 1.
Yeah.
You can expect around 10 to 1.
Okay.
And 10 ounces per ounce of potatoes. So around 10 potatoes, 5 to 10 potatoes per
Yeah.
single one.
Okay. Well, that's
Uh,
decent.
It's okay.
Yeah. So if you got
it's-
25 there, and
you
they're
should have 10
producing
times
about
more.
50.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
should have 20 kilos
Yeah.
of potatoes.
So that's a good.
give or
That's
take,
not bad. No. Yeah.
for every 2 kilos.
Yeah.
Or 10 kilos per kilo.
But as you were saying, the onions are a different expectation. So
They are.
let's
So-
move on to the onions.
Onions. What can you expect? You can expect a large onion per
Okay. Per each
single
seed,
seed, single bulb, single.
Yeah.
What do you call
So I guess
this?
a bulb. Would you call them bulbs? Yeah, yeah. So I suppose
you
that's
have-
why there's so many of them in a bag. And again, you always say it, and we always mention it here on the show. Read the instructions. The
Yes.
instructions will tell you plant February, April, harvest June, August. There's instructions on all of these things. We have a tendency to just tear into them and maybe put them aside and forget where they are.
Yes.
But
See, what is telling you here? The depth, the distance,
distance
how
apart.
to storage,
Okay. Yeah.
and then the flower height.
Yeah.
When to collect this? Same as main crop. When the foliage is gone.
Okay. Not the same
Norm-
length of time, but just the same sign.
Exactly,
Okay,
same
right.
sign.
Yeah. Don't want to leave them till October. No.
These ones are ready as an average around 100 days
Okay.
after you sow them.
Okay.
As an average.
Yeah.
Some of them are later, 100, 120 days.
Yeah.
You could expect having a very large onion. Don't leave them for too long on the ground. They will be soft, they will be soggy, they
Yeah.
will be disintegrating.
Yeah.
So it's always a time frame for cropping, excepting in a constant crop plant. See, onions, it will be a week, 10 days. When they are perfect, is when you have to crop it.
Okay.
You can.
So
maybe
that's
2
the window.
weeks. That's
A
you
week,
have
yeah.
windows, 2
Wow.
weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks to be perfect.
Yeah. I'd say you're going to need to have a calendar in your shed. It'd be a great idea, wouldn't it?
Well, again, you said that you learned by mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will say, but probably plenty of people that has grown onions has left them on the ground for
Just
too long.
too long, and
and
that's
they
what
know
you-
that.
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Or crop them too early and don't have. It's not all right. Some people like them small onions. So some people that like middle-sized onion and
Yeah.
they crop them early.
Yeah,
I
the
have a friend in
scallions.
Spain.
Scallions,
and
yeah.
they do a scallion style.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's a peculiar fella.
So he sounds just like my mother. But we have all the bulbs here, and it's
We
also
have
you want to talk
seeds,
about
all right?
seeds. Yeah,
Seeds,
so we
you
don't have
can-
to use the bulbs.
You can grow them from seeds. And if you grow them from seeds, you should be already sprouting those seeds.
Okay.
Get a tray, sow them
Your compost, yeah.
very thinly, very, very thinly raked. Don't go very deep, like a quarter of an inch.
Okay, so
of
they don't need to
depth.
go deep down at all.
No.
All right.
We'll talk about the seeds now, and it's essential. The depth when you sow seeds is essential. If you do it too shallow, it will produce not enough roots
And it'll
a
fall
large
over.
aerial
Yeah,
part.
it'll fall over.
If you sow them too
Deep.
they could struggle
To get
and
up.
not make it up.
Yeah.
Right? Going up. So we can just swap to seeds. It's a very good moment for seeds. Vegetables.
Yeah.
So we already have trays of cabbage and lettuce and all these things. And soon enough we'll be having tomatoes and cucumbers and courgette.
Yeah.
But again, it's very, very rewarding when you germinate these little things.
Yeah, and see them
you
coming
start
up.
see them
And we
sprout.
always talk about them. They're great to do with kids and just to show how quickly they can go. But you've got
So
green
see,
beans, you've got
I've
cucumbers.
Got these two beans because
What's that one? What's that white?
That's a French dwarf.
Oh, French
dwarf
dwarf.
French.
Okay.
So we have brought Frenchy seeds this year.
Franchi,
Frenchy
F-R-A-N-C-H-I.
Italian seeds.
Okay.
And they're spectacular.
Okay.
They're different.
So there's a whole load of them
whole
over there
load of
here
them,
in the garden centre. Okay.
So we'll have black dwarf beans and
Yeah.
plenty of
Pimento
different things.
beans
Yeah,
and all that sort
exactly.
of stuff. Yeah.
So I always recommend this for kids.
Yeah.
We've talked about this, how to germinate this, what they did to me in school that has
Yeah,
me traumatized.
If anyone needs to watch last year's video, just go back and see it.
So I encourage people to do this with their kids because it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
In
And
a
it just
glass,
explains so
a
much.
transparent glass.
Well, I love how
with
you just did it.
cotton buds.
You just did it from cotton bud or a bit of
Yes.
wet paper and wet paper towel.
Exactly,
Yeah.
cotton buds, and you'll see in a few days how they start sprouting.
Look
how
at
the
look at
kids
him. He's just lighting up.
Oh,
He's
yes,
lighting up
I'm-
here, folks,
I'm
thinking
like
about
a
it again.
kid, it's just a wonderful miracle.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And we'll talk.
something
We'll
that
talk.
is dry.
We'll talk about tomatoes again another time as well too. But
Yes,
we'll
that's a
there's so
different
many. That's
process.
another one of your loves as well. We'll have to
So
nearly have a whole
in-
show for that.
In sowing seeds,
Mm.
see the beans are larger seeds. They can be deeper.
Okay.
It should tell you in
The back of the packet.
the back of the package.
Yeah.
But as a golden rule, the larger the seed, the deeper it goes.
Okay. That kind of
So
and if you think
tomatoes
about
are
it,
very small seeds.
Yeah.
They go decently, a kind of a quarter of an inch as well, or a third of an inch deep.
I want to just touch on this before we go because there's a great propagation mat. This is a new thing here that just boosts seed germination. This is obviously something new you got into the
Well, we
the garden
have it
centre.
this year. It's
Yeah.
not a new product, but
No.
we have it this year, and so it's electric propagators or
So it's like a mat that you put
in
underneath.
this case, it's a mat. It's
Yeah.
a heating mat.
Heating mat.
And what it does is keeps the temperature around 20 degrees. And it encourages germination.
Oh, it's very handy. A very
it's
handy little
actually
thing.
very handy if you don't have a sunny windowsill
Yeah.
or a warm place to germinate seeds. It
still
gives them a
needs it.
boost.
Yeah. Excellent.
And it makes them, again, the heat is coming from under. It encourages roots to grow. It's very handy.
What ones would we put into this? Because I love these little grow pots. These are the compostable grow pots. Would you put any particular ones in these that you might be transplanting into the garden? Or
So at the end, what you want with these seed trays or pot trays is controlling. Is knowing what you have. So depending on what you're sowing, you can sow one seed on each or more than one.
yeah,
If you use a regular tray,
yeah,
you're going to have to divide them after.
yes, and that is
But
where
you can
I fell
sow
apart
more in
before.
a smaller space. Well, if you use these seeds, you can only fit 18 on each.
Yeah,
Here you can fit hundreds.
yeah.
The only problem is that then you're going to have to
Separating them
separate
is very difficult and do
So
damage.
these biodegradable we have in smaller pots as well.
Yeah.
Like pots, like small
Tiny little
pots.
ones, yeah.
You sow them straight and
Pop them
you
straight
can
into
pop them straight on the ground.
Yeah,
or
once
on
things dry
your,
out.
Or your pot or your whatever.
Yeah.
And it will be biodegrading.
Yeah.
The roots will be breaking it. It's cardboard basically. So
Yeah.
it degrades
Recycled.
with the water.
Yeah.
And it's a very handy thing because you don't need to be transplanting, breaking roots,
Yeah.
put roots in the air. At the end, when the roots are in touch with the light, they die. So you don't want to expose the roots much to the light. That you don't need to expose anything because you just plant this on top of on the ground. You dig a hole. It's very, very handy.
Excellent.
And you don't need to be worried about plastic, about recycling, about this, about that. Then we won't recycle. We should do a program about what they do with their recycling things.
Yeah. Oh God. I don't know if I don't know. Would I be ready for that? Another thing, finally, before we finish up, I do like this, and I think, Miguel, I'm going to try it. A big thing we've always talked about over the years.
Pay top dollar for that.
Of course I will. You know what? I don't get a discount. Grow bags. A lot of people are very things who might not have a lot of space. Miguel, these are great little things, and they can be very productive.
They are. So believe it or not, potatoes, they grow very well in pots.
Yeah.
And if you don't have room, you don't need a big garden to plant. Remember that you're gonna plant a few of them, and you're gonna have a decent amount of
potatoes.
So you don't need a ton.
Okay.
A couple of those bags will be. Again, see, they have this Velcro here.
A lovely Velcro you can just take out. You can just pull them out. Yeah.
That's for the first and second
earlies.
And you crop as you are going to cook or you're going to use them.
Yeah, I think I might challenge myself now to see if I can do it. And if I can do it, folks, trust me, anyone can do it. Listen, we have ran out of time, Miguel. There's been so much here. We didn't even get onto the bulbs and the flowers and the seeds. So we might have to talk about that next week. Hopefully you've had loads to think about, folks. Get into the potatoes. Try and get them out there. Your onions, your garlic. Call into the garden centre, and someone like Miguel will be there to help you out and give you all the details you need. So from myself and Miguel, until next time, happy gardening.